Hello gamers, it's Wintermute here from Grind This Game. And as you can see, I had some issues. uh, this is the graveyard. A lot of dupes died. They kind of had to die though, because the base was just, so many things were going wrong. Uh, the, One of the main things was this area here. It looks nice and temperate now, but this whole area was just overheating. I was allowing hot water to drain down here and then kind of cool in this room and then come in here, and it was all working nicely for many cycles. And then before I knew it, this whole area was kind of molten hot, and this whole half of the base was getting like, it was over 50 degrees, and the dupes were just freaking out. So I had to quickly put in a cooling system similar to the cooling system that's down here, which is basically taking water in a loop from down here, running half of it through the, well, I wasn't running it through a radiator up top there, but getting the water going in a loop and feeding it over these gas permeable tiles, which causes these little whirls or separations that happen. And with all these weezeworts here, it cools down the water quite dramatically as it falls through here. I didn't invent this. I saw it on one of the clay forums. It's a pretty cool way to cool water. So I replicated that up here to help cool this water down. It was about 50-60 degrees, and it was not really usable. And it was working great. Everything was about 30 degrees, kind of perfect temperature, 35 degrees. And then I kind of got busy doing other stuff in the base and came back here, and it was 6 degrees, and it was starting to freeze. So this worked really well, almost too well. So I had to take the weezeworts out of there for now. Everything is kind of still warming up. It's about 20 degrees in here, 24. I had this teppidizer here to warm things up if it gets too cold. And if you change the valve control, you can increase the cooling. If you use a lower pressure, it increases the cooling effect, and if you use a higher pressure, it decreases it. But it was too far gone. It was already like, everything was like minus, up in here it was like minus 20, and the water was like close to freezing solid. So I had to be a bit more drastic and just take the weezeworts out for now. And eventually I'll slowly keep adding them back in if this water gets too warm again. So I was using this geyser to drain hot water into the system, and now I'm using this one up here because it's a little bit, the water's a little bit cooler to start with. Also had a bit of a food collapse. I think too much food got made and then rotted away, and also the lag was getting really bad. So I killed off, I had 50 dupes, so I killed all but 17. And I basically just turned off these 6 cooking stations. And a bit later in the video I'll show you kind of what happened, but got down to 0 food. I got about half of them to starvation, plus some incapacitated, and then I fired back up some cooking stations. So my plan was to kill about half of them, and I kind of overdid it a bit. But since then the lag has been better, and it's been easier just to kind of manage things. I thought with more dupes I could dig this map out faster, which was kind of my initial goal. But one thing else I discovered, I have a theory that all these ladders are causing a lot of the lag, and it's probably due to the pathing algorithm. So if a dupe has to go from the bottom of the base down up here, or like up here for instance, it has like so many potential ways to get there that I think it was causing a slowdown. I've also read that having lots of crap on the floor also slows things down, and I've slowly kind of swept up a lot of that stuff, but I'm not done yet. I also had to build a pump right around here to vent all that hot air out. I still have the pipe, I think, yeah. So I had a pump here and all this. I had this pipe going all the way over here to right here to vent hot air from the base into this cool area, and that was working well. So we got the base back down to a good temperature. But then the cooling system in this sleet wheat growing room wasn't keeping up. It was keeping up for like so many cycles, and then all of a sudden temperature started to go above zero in here. I'm not sure why, but so I built another cooling system over here. Originally I was using two thermoregulators, kind of these two pumps feeding into one thermoregulator, which then fed into another one, and that was bringing things down to about minus 20, and then I was pumping that into the growing room. That turned out to be too much cooling, so I removed one of these thermoregulators. And now when it's pumping, the room's full pressure now, but if you look, you can see in these pipes I got carbon dioxide's at like minus 33, minus 28. You can see some of the older stuff here, minus 48, minus 47. So it was causing damage. It was getting way too cold, minus 50. So that's why I pulled one of the thermoregulars out of the system. And ideally, I would be sending pure clean oxygen or CO2 to keep that room sterile, the growing room sterile, but I haven't really built a proper electrolyzer system yet. I guess I could use the CO2, but I built it a bit too high. Since I think these ladders were causing a lot of the lag, what I'm doing is creating kind of a floor every 4 tiles high, and then I'm deleting the ladders. There's no easy way to kind of remove these ladders, because if you like try to, you could remove one at a time and kind of work your way down, but that would, with all these ladders, it would take forever. So with building a 4 tile high floor, this one's not, but the rest are, then you can just go like this. Well, where can I do it? I've already done it everywhere, but you can basically go like this if it's 4 tiles high and just delete them all. And then they can quickly go in there and do it. And then I've been filling in all these holes. I'll eventually have to put some gas permeable tile in here to kind of let the air flow between these floors. But for now I'm just trying to get rid of all the ladders. And then I'll sweep up all the crap that's remaining. There's not much left. And then I'll see if that speeds things up a bit. It's going to take a while though, because I got all this down here as well. And I'm only leaving probably a ladder on the outside, 2 outsides, and maybe I'll do one in the middle, so they can quickly kind of get to any section in here. And then I'll eventually dig left, extending these floors, assuming the lag goes away. My goal is still to clear up this whole map. I just want to see if it's possible. It may take longer with only 17 dupes, but I think it's possible. I've been kind of rewiring things in here as well, because the wiring is just a complete mess. It's a bit cleaner now, but there was like wire bridges all over the place. Yeah, it was just a spider web. It's cool to see these like thermal kind of frontiers here and how they interact. I also built like a morb farm down here to get rid of a bunch of chlorine that was building up in the base. I intentionally killed a dupe in here, and then by locking him in, and then a bunch of morbs spawned, and then I piped all the chlorine in here, and I got a lot of CO2 to deal with, but I got 3 scrubbers working on it right now, and it's generally working. I probably have way more power production than I need. I got 7 of these generators going, and I don't think I'm using it all. And the natural gas is building up. Before I was kind of using it up, but there's also some coming down from a different gas geyser up top. And then another thing I encountered was this polluted dirt. I guess because all these seeds were rotting in here, I just had so much polluted dirt. So I built a bunch of compost to try to work my way through that, and it's going to take forever. I think in 10 cycles I removed like 2,000 kilograms, if that. Really slow going. And for now I'm just storing that all the polluted dirt underwater here in these storage bins. So now we got a lot of empty beds after the mass die-off. I guess like all populations, they grow too fast and then they kind of on an exponential curve and then they crash. But I kind of forced the crash so that I could better manage things. I also removed all the showers. And my thinking there was that they spend a lot of time in the showers when they could be doing useful work. And I guess they are more prone to disease because they're not showering, but I haven't really noticed them get disease that often. So I think overall it's more efficient. I still need the lavatories though, because outhouses use regular dirt, and eventually I'll run out of that. So how much do I have? 16,000 dirt. So eventually I would have ran out of dirt if I only used outhouses, so I'm using 2 lavatories. And that's enough for these 17 dupes. I've seen some other bases out there, like LifeGrow is a guy who streams. He does like 8-hour streams of this game. His bases are really amazing. They're really beautiful. He plans them out really well, and I think I try to cram things together too close, and that's probably part of my problem. I also don't I don't like using that exploit where you can put a thin layer of water to cause overpressurization of things. The only exploit I'm using is this under the door thing, just because otherwise you just have to build a ton of airlocks and it's a bit annoying. So eventually they'll fix this, but I think that's the only exploit that I am knowably using. I was tempted to start over from scratch, but I didn't want to. There's just so much invested in this, and I've dug out so much of it. I just wanted to continue on. So that's why I killed a bunch of people off in the hopes that I could get rid of some of the lag. And I really like to find out like the main source of the lag. I've heard that lots of bad piping can do it, and I do have a bit of kind of jumbled piping here, which I might clean up. But it's not too bad. This liquid piping might be causing issues. But I don't think so. A lot of people usually build these kind of radiators. Lots of crap on the floor could be part of it. But I have picked up most of it. But I still have more to go here. Anyway, so it's an ugly base. It's pretty disorganized. It's full of polluted oxygen, but it's home. I think that's all I wanted to talk about in this episode. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to be alerted on future videos. And I'll see you next time. Hopefully I'll have more of the base mined out by then. And as always, thanks for watching.